Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Before we begin, we're going to take a few moments to collect ourselves and to relax before we engage into our discussion. What we need to do is to focus now on bringing positive energy into our lives and into the world. The energy that we project every day is the same energy that we get back. We have all seen those people that can walk into a room and they glow. People want to be around them. People feel better being in their presence. That's the energy that we need to create. And once we learn how to do this, our lives will be filled with greatness. We will attract that positive energy. And how we can do this is by changing our outlook, meeting every day with gratitude, thankfulness, optimism, and once you do this, you will see a change in yourself. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about everything positive in your life. Family, friends, a career, your faith. All of this is how you start your day. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to think about what is positive in your life. I want you to list 10 reasons why your life is amazing. You will see the change. You will be changed. You will begin to attract life's blessings. Lead with gratitude. Be thankful and think positive. Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. This is Gloria Lee, the moderator for the show Women of Courage. Wherever you are in the world, I need you to know one thing right now. You are amazing. I know you might be upset. I know you might be hurting. And I know you might be frustrated. I know because all of these things happened to me. I was homeless for 2 years, and all I had was a computer, my son, and a car. I want you to know you still have a purpose in life, and it is my job to help you believe that again. Do you want to believe? Can you see that the divorce was not meant to take you out? Can you believe that the lost house and the lost job is a setup for something greater? By the end of this broadcast, you'll be injected with so much that you cannot help but believe again. And I am going to help you do just that. Are you ready? I got some things I want to share with you. And I will even make suggestions on books and activities that you can implement, which will ultimately bring healing and wholeness to you. If you are ready to be healed, if you're ready to be whole, just jot down the pointers I give and watch your life transform. No matter what happened, no matter whose fault it was, today is a new day, and your time to live and be free is now. Join me in this journey to wholeness. Your time for total healing is now. Today you shall recover. Wholeness, healness, and peacefulness is in the mind. That is where all battles for life end and begin. The Women of Courage show is being broadcast by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help you problem solve, to help you dream again, to help you believe that anything is possible. We want you to believe that you do not have to marry the first man you meet just to get someone to take care of you. You do not have to live a life of drudgery. You can educate yourself. All you have to do is learn to read competently. We want you to take a chance on yourself. Stop believing all the soothsayers around you that have never left the state in their lives. People who do not have courage to fly. People who only think of lying, cheating, and stealing. You can live an exciting life. All you have to do is believe that you can make your dreams come true. You do not have to go to bed with someone you despise day in and day out. You have the right to marry someone that you can talk to someone that believes in you and has faith in you as a human being. In other words, you do not have to settle for just anyone. But what you must do is strive toward your goal. You must be goal oriented. You must organize yourself. You must be clear about what you want in life and why you want such a life. All of us are made up of dreams. As our dreams unfold in our lives, our spirit soars. Realizing our dreams becomes a problem because oftentimes we are beaten down by our friends and family. We are beaten down at school by people laughing at us because of our shoe size, our ear size, our breast size, the clothes we wear, etc. We are beaten down by people saying nothing will come of our lives. We are beaten down when our mothers and grandmothers constantly say that we're going to be just like our father, an inmate in prison. Many of us are also discouraged when our mothers are inattentive. She is wrapped up in her new boyfriend. But life anew is possible. It is my job to encourage you to go as far as you can dream and as far as your dreams can take you. It is my job to get you to believe in life again. I am sick and tired of people failing at life just because they are around negative speaking and negative acting people. Do not let the failure of other people make you lose confidence in yourself. Yes, you may be surrounded by poverty, but you must look for a way out. The book, If You Believe in God, You Do Not Belong in Prison, will help you. What you must do above all else is learn to read competently. You must read, and read. Anyone who laughs at you for reading, you need to leave that person alone. I do not care if it's your mother. Anyone who discourages you, you are to stop all association. Man is not different than plants. We need encouragement to grow as plants need water to thrive. You are to leave foolish, stupid people alone. Their ignorance will weigh you down or even get you killed. Sit down and think how you can avoid these people, especially if they're in your family. If you are overwhelmed with the tiring feeling that feels as if you're carrying a bag of stone around every morning when you get out of bed and think how you'll have to spend another living life you're not passionate about, the books I suggest are the perfect solution for your unique needs. Not only will we help you realize why these feelings overwhelm you and what you can do to change it, but they will also teach you how to live a life of strength, courage, fearlessness in order to realize all of your dreams. If you are lacking the attitude and psychology, proper resource or vision to make your dreams a reality, combined with dissatisfaction with the execution of your plans, but you remain firmly dedicated to making your ambition a reality and creating the life you deserve, you will certainly derive the most benefit from professional, incredible content within these books. Contents that will assist you in achieving the results that you are after. You are never to give up on yourself. Are you ready to leave your future to chance? Of course not. Take your life in your hand and learn all the necessary tools, mindset strategies used by the men and women of courage used in order to live the life of their dream. Change your life with our book starting today.
Oftentimes, we talk so much about the success of something that we don't highlight how important failure can be. Failure is what gives us those real life lessons. And until you've experienced that, you can't truly understand what success means. Because through failure, we begin to understand who we are, what we're made of, what we're willing to do to become successful. Failure is only an event. It does not define you. All it does is create new opportunities for you to succeed. Once one door closes, more will open. But you need to believe that. You need to live life now. Risk everything for your dreams. No matter what the results are, trust in yourself that you will find a way to become successful. In this life, we do not fear failure. We embrace the opportunities that come from it. Think about everything that has been created in this world. If people would have given up after one failure, what would we have? We would literally have nothing. We do not fear failure. We grow from it, we learn from it, and we move on.
Please tell your friends and family about our broadcast and invite them to listen to us every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on 88.1 FM WHPR. You can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com to learn more about our programs and how you can become involved. You can find inspirational articles by the Women of Courage Show by visiting the website touchedbythelight.us. You can read some of our essays on your lunch hour. These articles will help you last throughout the day. They will inspire you not to quit. Okay, we're going to continue the subject, what I could have done better in my life. We saw last week that there are some people in this country who have made decisions to be involved in criminal activities, and these decisions put them in prison for decades. The problem that most people have is that they believe in the word easy. They believe committing a crime is easy, that they're going to get away with any deed that they choose to do. Their minds are filled with the thought of how they're going to spend the extra money or how they're going to get sweet revenge against other people. They are intoxicated with the word easy. Believe me, there is nothing that is worthwhile that's easy. Take this from the quote, for instance, from Virgil from the 1st century BC. It is easy to go down to hell night and day. The gates of dark death stand wide, but to climb back up again, to retrace one's steps to the open air, there lies the problem. There lies the difficult task. Here is another quote. Resentment kills a fool, and envy slays the simple. Proverbs chapter 14 verse 30 says, A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Greed, envy, and jealousy was the driving force in all of these people making decisions that sent them to prison. Yet every day there is someone in this country who makes the thrill of easy money. One man has been sentenced to death in Waterbury County, Connecticut for his actions. His name is Robert Courchesne. He was 41 years old when he was sentenced to death for the murder he committed September 15, 1998. He killed Demetrius Rogers, who was 9 months pregnant. He stabbed her several times and left her to die because she owed him money for crack cocaine that he purchased for her. The baby survived 42 days after birth. His death sentence was ultimately changed in 2010, yet he died in prison. There is also a woman who was sentenced to death in Sussex County, Delaware. Her name is Linda Lou Chardon. She was 53 years old. She told herself she needed some extra money, and the easiest way to get this money was to commit murder. So she decided to murder her husband September 2001 and her ex-husband October 2001 with the help of her son-in-law and daughter. She succeeded in the murders, but she failed in defending herself in court, thus the death sentence. Now, because of the whisperings of the devil, she will have the distinction of being the first woman to face an execution in Delaware since the year 1935. Miss Angelina Rodriguez, age 32, of Los Angeles County, California, faced a similar dilemma. She too wanted some extra money to spend, so she hatched a plot to murder her husband for his $250,000 insurance policy. She was so persistent in her quest, she tried 3 times to murder her husband, Fred Rodriguez. She finally succeeded September 9, 2000. During her murder trial, Miss Rodriguez told the judge her husband must have drunk the antifreeze on his own. She was placed in lien for the death penalty when the prosecutor entered evidence that Angelina Rodriguez murdered her child in 1993 by breaking a pacifier and ramming it down the child's throat. Then she brought a tort suit against the manufacturer, demonstrating her lust for power and money. She murdered her child so she could get some money. Mr. Michael Fleiner, age 32, was much more ingenious in his quest for money and power. He used love as a bait. After entering into a relationship with 18-year-old Tamara Keck, he took out a $500,000 life insurance policy on her life. After securing the insurance policy, he hired Harold Severos to commit the murder. Tamara Keck was shot to death June 11, 2000. In a matter of months, the devil had consumed 3 lives. Tamara Keck was shot to death. Mr. Harold Ontiveros was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and the jury in San Diego County, California, told Michael Fleiner he should die for arranging the death of Tamara Keck. Michael Allen Hamilton was sentenced to death in 1982 for the murder of his pregnant wife, Gwendolyn Hamilton. She was age 26, of Bakersville, California. Ms. Hamilton was the mother of 4 children and was 7 months pregnant with their 5th child. March 1981, her husband took out a $100,000 life insurance policy on her life. Later that year, he fell in love with Brenda Burns. She and Mr. Hamilton began an affair. The results of that affair led to the death of Gwendolyn Hamilton. Mr. Hamilton did not want to leave the marriage without some money. So, in search for a murderer, he asked his sister, did she know of anyone who would do something illegal for money? He told her he wanted someone to kill his wife because he had a girlfriend and wanted to start a new life. He was subject to the death penalty because of special circumstances. Think about it. His sister did not warn his wife that her husband was trying to kill her. David Lamar Anthony, age 52, of Maricopa County, Arizona, also answered the devil's call for extra money to conduct his life. The prosecutor said Mr. Anthony murdered his wife and stepchildren, aged 12 and 14, July 7, 2001, so that he could gain control of his wife's money. He was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death September 24, 2004. For a chance at $1 million, he gave up his freedom. He wasn't satisfied with living off his wife's money. He wanted it for his own. The devil did not have to work very hard to entice the murder of Catherine Ann Froeschle. She was 25 years old. Her body was found November the 13th, 2004, in the water outside the house that her murderer was renting. Miss Froeschle was a Farm Bureau insurance adjuster. She was trying to carry out a post-hurricane home inspection for Farm Bureau Insurance the day she was murdered at the request of the homeowner. Her assailant was Jason Matthews Funk, age 27. He was full of himself. He believed his denial should be enough to deflect suspicion from him. He said he never met Katharina. He was not home when she came to inspect the house. In other words, the police were supposed to believe his lie because he thought his lie was reasonable. Jason Matthew Funk, age 27, found himself in jail charged with first-degree felony murder, making him subject to Florida's death penalty shortly after Miss Froeschle's body was found. March 2005, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. A life was taken because Jason Funk believed he could commit the perfect crime and not get caught. His ignorance is amazing. The police said she was attacked from behind. Mr. Funk was a man with a limited imagination, limited that he will now spend the rest of his life in prison. In the next situation, the devil outdid himself. He infected 3 men and a woman with thoughts of wealth and position. The devil had 3 men wrapped around his finger. He had them imagine all sorts of pleasantries. He had them imagine spending more than $980,000 on wine, women, and song. The temptation was too great. The money was too much to deny. It was so easy. No one would know. Who would suspect them and why? They were already living anonymous lives. They were cloaked in the community. The devil had them convinced their plan was so masterful, nothing could go wrong. People die every day in car accidents, in hit-and-run accidents. What would it matter if another person is found dead because of a hit and run? Besides, $980,000, which was 9 insurance policies, was a chance of a lifetime. All the men had to do was to murder Franklin Pullen. 1998, E. Lee White, Lawrence Scott, and Williams Brown were found guilty of first-degree murder and insurance fraud. His wife was found guilty of fraud and deception. She was given probation. The last insurance policy was issued 5 days before Frankie Pullen was murdered. There was an accidental provision that paid an extra $350,000 if Mr. Pullen met with an accident. Mr. Pullen was alone in the world, and the man who murdered him was his employer and co-workers. Billy Dale Green, age 43, was sentenced to death May 28, 2004, in Randolph County, Arkansas, for killing a family of 4, July 29, 1998. Billy Green murdered Carl Ellis and his family because Carl Ellis stole his marijuana plants in 1994. Green used a tire iron to kill the 5-year-old. He beat the wife 27 times and slit her throat, and the 8-year-old after keeping her in a trash can for 2 days. He shot Carl Ellis first. Mr. Green had such a desire for revenge, he enlisted the help of his son. We have 15 people entangled in the death of 11 people, all for money and a little revenge at life. Little did these people know they too would only have a few days left or a few years left of freedom. They never considered the level of their intelligence may not be equal to the task. All they knew is that they felt the raw, unadulterated desire for money and power, and they were willing to wage it all. People never took a second thought with respect to their ability to pull off a perfect crime. The devil understands the concept of the intervening variable, but he does not tell his prospective disciples about this phenomenon because he does not want them to turn their back on him. He wants them to follow through on their plans and subsequently get caught and be plunged into darkness. Before you follow these people, you need to make up your mind who you are and whether or not you believe that there is a God. Because there is definitely an evil force on this earth that turns people into animals at the just thought of money. I hope this discussion of murder and mayhem and the lust for money gives you pause and have you think about your motivations when you consider a criminal enterprise. Murder does not always work out the way people envision. Most of the time they get caught and spend years and years and years of their life in prison. If you do not want to go to prison, you need to find another way to make money that you want to live the life that you want to live. Killing people and robbing them is not the answer. And killing people for insurance is also not the answer. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break. Here are some reasons why you need to go register and vote. If you have something to say, then you should vote. If you are sick and tired of the lies, then you should vote. If you want a government for the people, then you should vote. If you want a responsible government, then you should vote. If you want to protect your Social Security, you need to vote. If you want the post office saved, you need to vote. If you want to protest the environment, you need to vote. If you want to protect our rivers, lakes, and streams, you need to vote. If you are tired of the pollution created by carbon emissions, you need to vote. If you want good medical care for all, you need to vote. If you want to protect your family, you need to vote. In the November election, the fate of our country will be in your hands. Therefore, you need to vote. Dear male listeners, our show may be called Women of Courage, but our name should not stop you from listening to our show. You have as much to learn and to consider as women. Why? Because many of you are fathers, sons, and brothers, and you need to understand those forces and situations that affect the female members of your family. So we do implore you to listen to our show with an ear for understanding. Thank you. Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of 1 million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach 1 million women with this information to save lives. The death of one woman to breast cancer from our community is one woman too many. We thank you for your support. Remember, if you miss one of our shows, you can visit our YouTube channel at Touched by the Light Publishing to watch and listen to previous episodes of Women of Courage. Thank you. Hi, I decided that at the end of every show for the next year, I would share excerpts from a book that I believe would enhance your life and make you a stronger thinker and problem solver. All characteristics that will help you win at life and raise stronger and healthy children. Many of you turn your nose up at reading, or you snub the advice that you must read in life to succeed, or you compare the cost of a book to getting a new pair of shoes or getting your hair done or your nails done. The reason why you make these cost comparisons is because you do not truly value a book. A book is a magnificent instrument that can change the course of your life and the lives of your children. In later shows, I plan to discuss with you how a book changed the lives of certain people. I understand that you do not earn a lot of money, and this money is valuable to you because of all the things you see advertised that you desire, and you do not want to spend a lot of money on a book. A new pair of shoes is more valuable to you than a book. If you truly cannot afford a book, then you need to go to the library and take your children with you for a day of reading. You must gird your loins and proceed at educating yourself. Some of you seem to think that having a conversation with your stupid girlfriend or your stupid boyfriend will help you more than reading a book, when actually having a conversation with your loudmouth girlfriend or loudmouth boyfriend is merely a cathartic, allowing you to blow off steam and proclaim how life has been so unfair to you. What you do not realize is that the advice coming from your do-nothing girlfriend or your do-nothing boyfriend is advice coming from a fool. Your do-nothing girlfriend is a sexual opportunist looking for a man she can impress with her body. When her vagina fails her, what will your girlfriend do but go to work at McDonald's or Wendy's at the age of 60 and continue to spread her ignorance at church? Her daughter will be on the street and her son in prison. She will never realize that her life is the result of the decision she made not to educate herself through reading. All her life she felt that she had something better to do than reading. She had something better to do than reading with her children. She had something better to do than working with her children. And that was going to the bar, trying to entertain a man or trying to find some man that would buy her a pair of shoes. A man spending money on her was more important than educating herself. In later shows, I'm going to spend a great deal of time giving you some examples of fools. These are people who think they are smart, willing to trade their body and integrity for a dollar bill. These people end up in the cemetery after lamenting each and every day of their lives about their unfulfilled dreams. Do not be upset by the use of the word fool. You tell me if a woman is not a fool to instruct her grandson to kill her husband for a $25,000 life insurance. Let that sink in for a moment. Instead of instructing her grandson to make something of his life, the grandmother instructs her grandson to become a murderer, to kill his grandfather. I have this anecdotal advice for you about reading. Listen to this short true story. A friend and I were talking. She said a woman she knew called her and sought to renew their friendship. During their conversation, the woman told my friend that President Trump had done so much for black people, and that's why she voted for him in 2016, and she was going to vote for him again in the upcoming election. My friend asked her a question. She said, "Tell me some of the things that Trump has done for black people." The woman said, "A whole lot." My friend persisted and asked her to name one thing that Trump had done for black people. The woman could not. The woman kept using the phrase "a whole lot of things." My friend said after a while she stopped talking. Finally, the conversation was over and my friend hung up. My friend said, as she hung up, she made up her mind right then that she would never renew her friendship with this woman. Now ask yourself why. Why would she not renew her friendship with this woman? You can answer this question in 2 words. The woman was a poor thinker. She never investigated anything that was told to her. Whether you know it or not, a person who is a poor thinker, who does not examine his or her thinking, is a very dangerous person indeed. Think about it. The author of The Devil's Whispers starts her book off by telling the reader why the book was written. She says this book was written for Harold. Harold is not his real name. In fact, the man I call Harold is dead. He was executed in one of our nation's prisons. When Harold was executed, I wept. Even people who are executed have a story. Every day I weep for Harold, not so much that he was executed, but the fact that he was not rescued when he was a child by the men in this great nation. We fight wars on every foreign soil, yet we wage no war to save our own children. It is time now for the men in this country to relieve the suffering of their children. Yes, your children. For every woman used as a prostitute, there is a child without a father. Prostitutes very seldom seek abortions. I write for all the children named Harold who live in a single-parent home across the nation where their mothers have brought a non-related male into the home to live. God bless you all. I write to stop this practice. You have prayed for relief. Your relief has come. God is your relief. I shall keep writing, praying, and calling on God until you have been rescued. I am going to call on this nation to do what is right and to provide relief to every single woman living in fear in her home. We are going to get this man out of your home and he will never come back. I shall keep writing, walking, talking until you and your children are rescued. I will not allow anyone in this country to sleep peacefully until you are rescued. People will chase me from their doors to keep from hearing my words. Your fathers will not continue to eat or sleep knowing they have not cared for you. You will not spend your life in prison living out your rage. Your grandmother is not right. You are somebody and your father was somebody. Your grandmother just speaks from the anger inside of her because her life ended disastrously. She, like so many other women before her, did not stand for righteousness. She ran through her life trying everything that was suggested to her. Not once did she give any thought to her conduct until it was too late. Do not hate your grandmother. Do not let the words she speaks lead you to violence. Give her respect, but dismiss her stupid words. You are a child of God, and God knows of your suffering, and he shall bring you relief. If you can get to a church, go. Stand in the aisle if you just have to sing. Keep calling God, for he shall rescue you. Just stand. Yes, I weep for the victim. The entire situation leading to murder was something that did not have to be. The helplessness of the victim finally led Harold to murder. Harold hated the victim for being weak like he once was. Harold was a man filled with rage and self-hate. No one rescued him when he was being abused. Regardless of what the newspapers say, it is the men in who must answer for the conduct of this nation. When you have time, I want you to go on the internet and research the laws that were recently passed in the state of Florida regarding the protection of children in foster care, regarding the protection of children against sexual predators. These are important laws that were recently not only enacted but put into practice. One of the laws states that when children are in the protection under the protection of the state and being serviced by social workers, that social worker can have no more than 15 children, allowing her to be able to protect that child. The state realized that they had been negligent in this area and that thousands of children were being exploited and abused in foster care systems because the social workers had too many children to attend to at the one time. Also, while you're on the internet, look up the law entitled Donna's Law. This is regarding a young girl who was abused by her high school teacher. We must start paying attention to the children who are being abused in this nation. The book Devil's Whispers takes a look at how people think, which causes trauma and problems in the lives of their children and in their lives. The author says, yes, men were made in God's image. They were given creative powers and they are called sons of God. God has commanded that it is not possible for man to escape his responsibility to God or to his fellow man. The time is coming where every man in this nation will be called to stand. Your fathers will have to answer to God for why they did not stand when he called them to this issue, the issue of protecting the nation's children. The treatment of children will divide this nation if we do not answer God's call to correct this abuse of children inside and outside of the home. No child should be left without the protection of his father. God has not left man. God has not removed his protection from you. So why have you removed your protection from your son? Yes, we know every parent has a life of their own. Every parent has desires of what they want to do with their lives. But once you become a parent, you must stop and think and try to solve your problems with respect to your children. Yes, only you know how lonely you are. And yes, only you know how many times you've been tempted to use marijuana to make yourself feel better. Only you know what you feel and what you need. Only you know how many times you've been tempted to commit murder after someone has injured you or tempted you to commit suicide after hearing bad news. Neither murder nor suicide is the answer. You are to never let any man or woman cause you to hate yourself so much that you commit murder or suicide, or you consider these two acts. The best defense against an evildoer, which is a bully, is knowledge and physical development. Take a read through the book, The Devil's Whispers, and find a new way of how to view the world and how to problem solve for yourself. You do not have to be a bad parent. What you need is knowledge of how to problem solve, how to think your way through problems with your girlfriend who has custody of your children, how to maneuver with your mother who has custody of your children. Believe it or not, reading a good book will make you feel better. It will give you confidence in the future that you can actually have control over your life. Take some time today and go to the website touchedbythelight.us and sit down and read the first chapter of the book, The Devil's Whispers. If your vagina isn't working for you and you have a house filled with children and no husband, then you need to change. You need to start reading to learn how to win at life. You will learn a woman should never be without money. If you have to choose between eating and spending your last dollar, you need to drink water. Never spend your last dollar. Drink water. Learn that you can gain freedom through reading and writing. Power can be black or green. Take care of yourself first. Otherwise, you will not be able to take care of anyone else. You need to visit the website touchedbythelight.us to read inspirational articles and to watch inspirational videos. These articles and videos can lead you out of the darkness. You must read. You can no longer keep conducting your life based on information that you learned 10, 15, or 20 years ago. Stop relying on what your friends have to say and their opinions. Read and get the facts and take control of your life. If you cannot read or you have a problem reading, find someone at the library that can help you. Stop wasting your life away by drinking alcohol and smoking marijuana just because you feel bad.
Are you sick and tired of being you? Do you want another life, a second chance? Then it's time to change. It's time for you to find out who you are. It's time for you to stand up for yourself. It's time for you to think for yourself. It's time to rid your mind of poisonous beliefs like women should only be seen and not heard. It's time for you to learn how other women accomplished their goals. For more information regarding women of courage and to be among the countless women learning to manage the challenges, limitations, and rejections of life, go to https://touchedbythelight.us.
Please tell your friends and family about our broadcast and invite them to listen to us every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. on 88.1 FM WHPR. You can email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com to learn more about our programs and how you can become involved. You can find inspirational articles by the Women of Courage Show by visiting the website touchedbythelight.us. You can read some of our essays on your lunch hour. These articles will help you last throughout the day. They will inspire you not to quit. Here is the second essay on the topic, What I Could Have Done Better in My Life. It begins, as human beings, we have a lot of expectations concerning important matters that we would like to happen. Sometimes you might have a clear plan of how you want something to happen and even go out of your way to ensure that that very thing goes as planned. However, in some occasions, what we want to happen might not happen the way we would like, or even not happen at all despite our efforts. Life has its own way of teaching, which many of us do not like. The disappointments that life presents sometimes push us to make a decision that not only cost us, but also our freedom. I remember 3 years ago, I was in a very bad situation in terms of finances. A friend had borrowed a substantial amount of money from me and promised to pay that money back within 2 months. However, when the 2 months elapsed, he could not pay back me as he promised. The money was part of my savings and I had plans for those savings. It is also about the same time that things at work got out of hand. The money was not coming in the way I had expected. Therefore, this meant that at some point along the journey, I could run out of money. I was definitely angry at my friend, and I was angry about how things were turning out, and I was not also thinking straight. I made a bad decision that I still regret up to this day. The decision not only cost me my freedom, but it also ate up my time from other activities in my life. I should not have attacked my friend and caused the injuries that he sustained. Stress is part of life, but we should not allow stress to take central stage in our lives. The 2 years that I spent in jail were not worth it. I understand that women in particular suffer from different issues in their life. Lack of money sometimes push many women to commit crimes, which could have been avoided had they not out anger to overcome them. One needs time to think things through. That is what I learned the hard way. I strongly believe in education as the best way to overcome different challenges in our lives. I also learned that all the difficult things that women encounter have their solutions in education. Getting information on how to get out of debt or how to double one's income goes a long way in avoiding the path to crime. Rushed decisions have major consequences. However, time to learn, we get wisdom to solve our problems. Education is good, and women need to seek it at all costs as the best approach towards solving problems in our lives. The last thing I want to say about the word easy and negotiating with your vagina is a quote from Sally Kempter. It is hard to fight an enemy who has an outpost in your head. I'll repeat it. The quote from Sally Kempton says, "It is hard to fight an enemy who has an outpost in your head." So if you keep going to bed with the word easy on your mind, you will never stand up or defeat the Jezebel spirit in you. As I said earlier, I was not satisfied with our last show, so I'm going to repeat some of the information we discussed in earlier programs, especially where I said stop paying attention to someone else's garden. Repetition is the secret to successful learning. The word repetition means to repeat. The word repetition is a noun. It means the action of repeating something that has already been said or written. Also, the recurrence of an action or an event. A thing repeated. A piece set by a teacher to be learned by heart or recited. Here are other definitions of the word repetition. The act or an instance of repeating, reiteration, a thing, a word, or an action. Repetition is a literary device that repeats the same word or phrase a few times to make an idea clearer or more memorable. There are several types of repetition commonly used in both prose and poetry. The act or an instance of repeating or being repeated. A motion or an exercise like a push-up that is repeated and usually counted. The action of repeating something that has already been said is very effective. Repetition is the very simple repeating of words or ideas. As you can see, repetition is a great device to use with respect to learning. A single cycle of lifting and lowering a weight is strength training, and it is called a repetition. The military uses repetition to improve training and learning. You learn by repeating a word, a phrase, or a sentence. The repetition or the restatement of an idea at intervals not only promotes clarity, but it encourages the acceptance of the idea. When you repeat or emphasize one idea, competing ideas are subordinated and sometimes are driven completely out of the mind. This is why when you tell yourself that you don't understand something, but if you keep repeating these ideas or words, they become familiar to you and you stop rejecting them. Repetition is a powerful force in learning. Notice how children are able to recite a character from stories that you have read to them over and over again. They can recite these words with great clarity. When words are repeated at short and long lags and people are required to recall them, the probability of recall increases as the distance between the repetition increases. The most ancient and effective learning tool ever devised by man is repetition. Repetition is a powerful principle. The intentional repetition is a powerful tool. It can be used to make a point. Human beings somehow need to see, hear, and do things again and again in order to acquire any kind of growth or self-improvement. Repetition is essential, whether it involves memorizing our multiplication table, learning to drive a car, or developing a six-pack of abs. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to repeat ideas to give you a second and third chance to consider what we are saying. Join us at the Women of Courage Show every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. and every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for information that will change your life. You can also visit us at our website, touchedbythelight.us, for more information. Thank you. If you do not like your life, then change it. Listen to us when we broadcast, and we can help you find a new way.